Hey guys, Mike in the Woods here. It's 2020 now, which means it's been one whole year since my last EDC teardown video. My bag stayed relatively the same since then, but there have been a few changes. So today I thought I'd bring you guys an updated look at everything that's in my everyday carry bag. But before I do, real quick, please be sure to like, leave a comment down below, and hit subscribe. Now, as I mentioned the last time I did this, some context of my daily life will help you better understand why I have certain things in my EDC bag. I'm a programmer by trade, and where I live and where I work is in a relatively urban area, just outside of Toronto, so you'll see my gear loadout geared towards that. Alright, let's take a look. So first, I'll talk about the bag itself. This is the Condor Messenger Bag, same bag I had last time. Nothing different about it other than it's starting to show more wear. As you can see in the back, it's starting to tear on the outer lining and even the inner lining. I'll probably have to replace this in the near future, but for now, it's still holding up. So first, we'll talk about what's on the outside of the bag. Just as last time, we'll start off with the coffee. Most important thing in the bag right here, my coffee mug, because without caffeine, Mike does not function. And stuck to the bottom of it is a plastic cup that came a part of my Stanley stainless steel cooker set. It's a nice heavy duty plastic cup, so if I'm ever on the go and I need a glass, I have one. And what it was sitting in is the MilSpec Monkey bottle corset, which is an adjustable corset so you can put pretty much anything you want in there, whether it's a bottle of water or pop or a coffee mug like what I have. Then I have my keys. Got an emergency whistle on here that's got a little compass, a little magnifying glass, and a thermometer so I can tell the temperature. Got my car keys. I've got a little dog tag that I'm not going to show you that has my contact information on it just in case someone finds my bag. Got a pair of nail clippers, all my other keys, key fob, so on and so forth. That's now on a metal carabiner, which I don't believe it was before. I've got my little EDC flashlight, nothing crazy, just a tiny little flashlight that will let me see if lights go out and it's nighttime. And I'll go into the rest of the bag itself. Taking a look at what's in the very front of the bag. This is more of my daily access stuff that I need on a day-to-day basis. So first I got my passport. Oh, there we go, right setup. So this is actually starting to get close to its expiry. I really need to go and get my new passport done up this year. That's going to be expensive. I've got my new charging cord for a little something that I have further back in the bag. I won't spoil it, but this is one of the biggest additions to my EDC. Got my bank book. Got a lighter in case I need to light a campfire or offer someone a light for a cigarette. I myself don't actually smoke. This is just here for emergencies, pretty much. Alright, now we're moving on to the main section of the bag. This is for my less frequently accessed stuff. I've got a pair of gloves in here. So these are just some gloves I got from the last place I worked, which is Gameloft. And what's unique about these, other than currently being covered in burrs, is the tips of the fingers actually let me use a smartphone with them on, which has come in handy. One of the newest additions to my kit is just a simple cutlery set in case I go out and eat, and by having these, then I'm not wasting plastic by eating with plastic forks and cutlery. Got my miniature sewing kit. So in here, there's just some needles and some fishing line down at the bottom. Just inside of like a little aspirin tube. I've got my electronics maintenance kit. If you remember from my last teardown video, the bag that this was in was much bigger, so I condensed it down into something a little bit smaller. So I'll open this up and I'll show you what's in there. So I've got my two charging cables. One is for my phone, which is USB-C, and the other is for the actual battery bank I have in there, which is USB Mini Type B. Got my battery bank. It's not a big one, it's just enough to give me about a charge and a half on my phone, which is currently low. I actually got to charge it right now. Got Got my USB to AC adapter so I can plug into wall sockets. Before I had just a USB thumb drive in here, but now I have a micro SD to USB adapter. So essentially you take a micro SD card, put it in the back, and then you can plug it in as if it were just a regular old USB drive. And there's a reason I have this, and I'll show you in a bit. Got a car charger to USB for plugging into the car to get power to the cigarette lighter. And that's it for that. I'll deal with this all later. Got some toilet paper. This is actually the same roll I had in here since my last teardown video. I haven't actually needed it since everywhere I've gone has had acceptable toilet paper. But what I'm thinking about actually doing is replacing this with some high quality toilet paper so that whenever I go to like Walmart, where you're basically wiping your butt with craft tissue paper, I have some actual decent toilet paper to use. Got my 2 long burning candles in there in case the lights go out. That way I'm not burning through my flashlight batteries. Just some 2 everyday long candles. Got some duct tape in case I need to make emergency repairs or stop something from leaking. Got my bandana, which as I described last time is for anything from drying myself off to cleaning my face like a napkin. And what I most frequently use it for is when I get to work in the wintertime, or if it's rained and I rode my electric skateboard into work, it's coated in water and I don't want to get it everywhere at work. So I lay this down on the ground and lay my board on this so that it's sucking up all of the melted snow and rain that's dripping off it and not making my floor at work a dirty mess. Got an extra pair of socks because my dress shoes aren't the greatest at protecting me from getting wet feet. So you remember before I had that cold steel knife that I was using? I've downsized it into just a simple folding knife because honestly, anything I could possibly need a knife for my day-to-day use that's not, that my multi-tool can't handle, I won't need anything more than this. Like I'm not batoning wood, I'm not doing anything crazy. I need a simple, small folding knife. That's it. Got my business cards. If you remember my last video, I said that I needed to update them. I still haven't updated them. So these are my business cards for programming as well as game development because that's my actual interest, but programming is programming. I've got my little cordage bag full of mason twine. Haven't needed it, so it's still the same condition that it was before. Nice and rolled up inside, so I just have to tug on this little guy, pull out as much as I need, cut it off, melt the ends so that it's sealed, and yeah, got all the cordage I can need on a day-to-day use. The last thing that was in that section is my little mini survival tin. So I'm just going to move my bag out of the way so I can show you what's in here. So because I live in an urban area, I don't need to carry anything crazy for survival or anything like that. So all of my quote-unquote survival gear is contained within this tiny little tin here. It's a little bit bigger than an Altoids tin, which is normally used for pocket survival tins, but it's an old Rothco Fishing Kit that I bastardized and turned into my survival tin. So I'm going to pop it open and I'll show you everything that's in there, just real quick. I've actually done a full in-depth teardown of what's in here, which I'll link in the description down below if you want to take a closer look. But I've got some matches and a striker glued to the top. I've got a couple needles in there. I've got a wire saw from Rothco, which I've used quite, I wouldn't say frequently, but I've used it a couple times, and they're not as bad as people say. Not as great as a full-size folding saw like a Boreal or something, but for something that fits in a tin, you can't really beat that. I've got some alcohol wipes, I've got some crazy glue, I've got a 3D printed emergency whistle in there, got a small lighter, got a plastic bag for water collection, got a $20 bill in there for emergency funds for like transportation, I've got some dental floss for cordage, I've got some fishing line, and I've got a tiny little flashlight. Now there is some redundancy in here. I know some people have pointed that out in the teardown video that I've linked. It's on my to-do list, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Case in point, the fishing line and the dental floss. I probably don't need both. Plus I know how to make cordage now, so I don't know. Definitely need some reworking. Okay, so now moving on to the next section, which is the rear and last big section. So we've got my big sketchbook. How well you can see that on camera. But a lot of my interests are with creating my own apps and games and stuff. So I'm always having crazy ideas that I want to sketch down. So I don't know if I can really get that on film, but I just use it for taking notes, sketching out ideas, jotting down things that I want to put into an actual design document later, so on and so forth. Nothing crazy. It's a big sketchbook, but I find use in it, so that's why I carry it. Now my little business notebook. This is purely for business-related things of all the various side projects I have going on. In addition to my YouTube channel, I resell things online. I have an online 3D print shop. I have a cryptocurrency trading bot that I program. Just any and all things relating to projects that I'm working on business-wise go in here. And this lets me keep this as a dedicated notebook for a very specific purpose, and it doesn't get clustered with the other project stuff that goes in the bigger notebook. I know it's a lot to be carrying just for writing stuff down, but I find use in it. I don't find it too much to carry, so, you know. I've got my day planner, which is actually horrendously out of date, so I don't need that anymore. I've got the book that I'm currently reading. At first, when I started reading this, I thought this was pretty cheese. But if you can get past the marketing BS that the guy's spewing in the book, there's actually some pretty decent tips in here, and I have actually been trying to apply some of the things I've been learning from here to my YouTube channel, specifically in regards to being interesting and getting people wanting to watch my content. So some of the improvement in my channel that you've seen over the past few months can partially be attributed to what I've learned in this book, which is Multiple Streams of Internet Income by Robert G. Allen. I've got just a little rain poncho. It's pretty torn up because it's been in here for a few years. Just a red one I got from the dollar store. I actually want to replace this with a proper, high quality, like olive drab or like reasonably colored rain poncho. I'll probably get one that can be turned into an emergency shelter so that I can kill two birds with one stone. And finally, for this section of the bag, this is my pride and joy. This is the most expensive thing I have in my EDC bag. This is one of the most important things I have in my EDC bag, except for, of course, the coffee. And that is my Microsoft Surface Go tablet. I wanted something small that could fit in my EDC bag before I had this horrendously huge red laptop that was way too big and required me to have a completely separate laptop bag. But with this, it's small, goes right in my EDC bag, don't even know it's there, has a battery life of 6 hours. It's not the most powerful thing in existence, but it does everything I need it to, from working on any of my projects to programming. And the best part is because it's a tablet, the keyboard just comes right off, and then it's in tablet mode. This thing is so small and so light that I can actually bring it with me on camping trips and backwoods trips, which is part of the reason I got one so small. This is the Microsoft Surface Go, so it's the smaller version. It's not as powerful as, say, the Pro, but it does everything I need it to, and I have yet to encounter any major problems with it. And the charger you saw me with at the beginning of the video, that was for this. Okay, so we're not done with the bag yet. We've dealt with all the major compartments, but now we take a look at the final 3 mini compartments. Well, I guess 4 if you include the front of this as a separate one. Oh, we're not done yet either. Okay. So, starting with this guy. This is where I keep all of my hygiene items. So I've got shampoo, got some hand sanitizer, got a bar of soap if I need to stay overnight somewhere and I need to shower where there is no soap. And this is my toothbrush and toothpaste. I couldn't find an actual mini toothbrush, so what I did is I just bought a regular one from the dollar store, and actually I sawed it in half so it would fit in here. I've been told that was a bad idea because it can collect bacteria, which if you can see, it's starting to get a little funky on the end there, but whatever. It does the job. It doesn't make me sick. Alright, in the front of the next one, I've got a set of AAA batteries. Those are replacement batteries for my flashlight. I also have a little compass in here. I have one on my keychain, but just for comparison's sake, I have an actual larger compass in there. They're not the greatest of compasses. They're pretty trash quality. So by having two plus my phone's GPS, I can kind of burn through the noise and figure out what direction I'm actually going. Maybe having it next to charged batteries is not the wisest of ideas, but hey. Inside, I've got a measuring tape. This is probably a new inclusion since my last video. There's been quite a few times I've been out wanting to measure something and wishing I had a measuring tape with me. So I hunted down the one I got in the battle box that I unboxed, and now I actually have a proper measuring tape that I can carry with me everywhere I go. I've got my V knife sharpener. It's not as effective as a full-on sharpening stone, but for on the go, for quick use, it's pretty good. It gets me a sharp enough edge to do what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. I also have in here a pair of earplugs. I don't really use these anymore, but back in the day when I was commuting on the GO train, it would get really loud in there with people being drunk and carrying on if they're going to like a Leafs game or something. I'm from Canada, eh? Anyways, this would let me tune those people out and fall asleep on the train ride home so that I could not be so tired all the time. In the very bottom, this is just where I keep my writing utensils. So I've got a black pen, I've got a blue pen, I've got a Sharpie, and I've got a highlighter. Nothing crazy, just some writing utensils for my little sketchbook. And then I should have done this at the beginning of the video when I was doing what's on the outside, but this right here, as I showed off in my last time I did this video, is my first aid kit. So nothing's really changed in here other than some minor additions, and I've obviously used a couple things in here since then. So I've got some band-aids, which are apparently falling out of their protective packages. That's not good. All of them are. Oh, that's lovely. All of my band-aids are falling out of their packages. I'm gonna have to replace those. Those weren't like that the last time I went looking for one. Got my Benadryl for allergies. I've got some wet wipes. X-Lax. More allergy meds. Larger bandage in case something pretty bad happens. I do have a large bandage just to kind of tide me over until I get to the hospital. So, as I mentioned the last time I did this video, if you have meds in your kit and you don't 100% remember what your dosage is of them, tear off the tab that has the instructions on it for how much you should take and how often. A little tablet like this just keeps with you, and then you know how much you should be taking. That's garbage. I really need to clean out my bag. Another band-aid that fell out of its wrapping. Got a simple pair of latex gloves sealed in a Ziploc bag so that they're not contaminated with anything. Another band-aid. I've got Advil, which I actually forgot that I had in here. So one thing I frequently have happen to me is I've started getting migraines probably at least once a month, and they get pretty bad. They're like debilitating to the point where I have to actually go home from work, and it takes a lot of pain for me to call it quits and go home. So I now keep pain meds in my kit at all times in case one decides to strike me out of the blue. I have these that I can take and deal with it. One thing I'm missing out of here that I actually have to replace is anti-diarrheal meds, and I'll let you guess why there's none in here right now. Spoiler alert, it's because I used it all. So, there you have it. There's the contents of my EDC bag for 2020. As you can see, there's been a few changes. Most important one is the addition of that Microsoft Surface Go tablet. The only thing that's missing out of there is a couple snacks for on the go, which I need to replace because I always eat them and then don't replace them because I'm a terrible human being when it comes to keeping my EDC bag topped up on consumables, as you can see with my first aid kit. I would love to hear your thoughts on my EDC bag, things I can add, things I should remove, things I should change. Hopefully I've given you some ideas for things that you can put in your everyday carry bag. If you have any thoughts on the matter, please leave a comment down below. Hit the like button and even subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.